Okay, just go over next to the last paragraph on 41. Klolu shel dover. He says in summation, well, the principle of all that we've discussed. He says a person needs great reinforcement to strengthen himself, and persevere with alacrity, lasos mitzvahs. To cast off the weightiness of laziness which interferes. Chaim Voloshin points out, it's very interesting. Person studies, you can't keep your eyes open. And the moment you ask him to do something else, straighten up the house, or go somewhere, person has all the energy in the world. Right? Immediately. I mean, anything which plays into your persona, which is physical, it's reflexive. But anything of spiritual nature, which is not, of course, you're not conditioned for that. So there's this inertia. There's always there's a natural resistance. So you have to overcome it. Of course, it's not in sync what you want, right? A person's hungry, right? A person doesn't have to force himself to eat if he's hungry, because you want to eat. He says, note that the Malachim, they're praised because they have this characteristic, Shnebabhem, Gibore Koach Osed Dvoro. They have great power. They do his word, Lishmo Bakol Dvoro. V'omer v'achayis rotzo v'shov kimar habozok. The chayus, there's chayus, they're a certain echelon of angels, from the greatest angels, Chayis HaKodesh. It says, they run and return as a lightning bolt. That's how quickly they go back and forth to do the will of Hashem. Meaning, Odom hu Odom v'lo but a human being's human, he's not an angel. An angel has no impediments, he has no holdbacks, he has no physicality. He doesn't have the empowerment and the intensity of a malach. However, whatever we're able to achieve to reflect those characteristics of a malach, roishi iskariv, it's something we should try to bring upon ourselves. He praised his portion, his accomplishment. Omer, chashti. He says, I hastened, v'lismamati. I did not tarry. Lishma mitzvah. So, in what way does he pride himself? Chashti v'lismamati. Lishma mitzvah. You know, it's about a 6-volume work. It's called Meir Eina Yisrael. The Talmidim, the Chofetz Chaim, before they passed away, like the last volume was written about maybe 15 years ago, they interviewed the Talmidim. Personal stories, experiences they had with the Chofetz Chaim, what they saw when they were riding. Most of these people, when they were in the 20s, some of them in the teens, and they interact with Chofetz Chaim, they observed the Chofetz Chaim, or stories that were told over and Radin about the Chofetz Chaim. So, Rav Chaim Ozer, Zechet Tzarek L'Vrocha, was known as Rabban Shel Kol Bnei Agola. He was so great, Rav Chaim Ozer. He lived in Vilna, although he wasn't a Hasidic Jew. All Jews accepted him as being the primary authority in Halacha and Das Torah. That's how great he was. You know the famous story when he was bar mitzvah, so he wasn't with his parents. He was learning somewhere in a beis medrash somewhere. He was 10 years old. He was learning. His parents were in some other community where he had parents, and he learned. He was a genius. He had a photographic memory, and he was learning with people with 3 times his age, 4 times his age. So they said, "Joe, you mean you didn't prepare about mitzvah drasha? Say drasha?" So he says, "No." She says, "Are you going to say some Torah?" He says, "If you want, I'll say Torah." So what do? The Ktos HaChoshen. It's a commentary on Choshen Mishpat. he says, I'll start on the first page, and we'll go through, and I'll tell you my novelette, my remarks, and as long as it takes, we'll go through the Sefer. He spoke, this is without the text, he spoke for 8 hours. He never really revealed to these people. These people, they lived 1,000 years, they couldn't achieve what he achieved. And he was Rabban Shel called Nea Golda. So when the Chafetz Chaim was older, whenever they would meet, they'd meet all the Gedolim, they would meet in the house of Rav Chaim Ozer in Vilna. The Chafetz Chaim was much older, so they would all travel to Radin, and they would meet in the home of the Chafetz Chaim. So when Rav Chaim Ozer would come to the home of the Chafetz Chaim held that Rav Chaim Ozer had the status of a Nasi. He's like the Prince of Israel. So you have to give special honor. So he'd have a bed prepared for him, that when he would travel, he'd be able to rest. And he had a pair of slippers, and he had a cup of tea, and every aspect of his need was covered. And he'd be waiting by the door, and he'd escort him in. This is the Chafetz Chaim. Chafetz Chaim was old enough then to be Rav Chaim Ozer's father. And the Chafetz Chaim, so Rav Chaim Ozer said to the Chafetz Chaim's son, he said, your father has such a level of intensity, he doesn't let up. I can't deal with it. He's so, besides being a Kohen, Kohanim are very intense. He doesn't let up. It's like without a stop. There's no moment that's not fully invested. It's a level of intensity which nobody has that level of intensity. But that was the Chafetz Chaim. Chashti v'lo mismoti lishma mitzvah. That's David HaMelech. He says, he hastened, I did not delay to keep your mitzvahs. Okay? The Gemara says in Shabbat, in Parshas, that mitzvah lemir to bekenishta afilu b'yom l'shabbato. Right? It says there's a mitzvah to run to shul, even on Shabbos, even though one doesn't. The Gemara says in Shabbos that hilucha b'Shabbos should not be hilucha b'chol. That the strides the way you walk on Shabbos should not be the way you walk during the weekday. During the weekday, you take large strides when you walk. Shabbos, you should take shorter strides. But when you're going to shul, you run. Mitzvah lemirat be'kenishta b'yom Shabbato. And the Emor quotes a pasuk, and the pasuk is that when you go to do the word of Hashem, it's like a lion roaring. That's the pasuk. So what is that? What does the lion roaring have to do with going to shul, doing a mitzvah? So the Tzlach, who's Rebbe Yehuda, has a commentary on brachos. David heard this many years ago when we learned brachos. Says that if you're walking Shabbos and all of a sudden you hear a lion roaring and you think he's coming your way, what do? You run for your life. Right? That's what you do. So he says, it's like a lion roaring. You don't differentiate. Weekday Shabbos is all the same. You run. So therefore, from there, when you go to shul to serve Hashem, mitzvah lemirat in Aramaic, there's a mitzvah to run. The bekenishta afil b'yom Shabbat to the Beis Knesset even on Shabbos. That's how we explain. That's how it explains the Gemara. I remember many years ago, this is in the '60s, there was somebody in the yeshiva. I remember where he came from. The person must have been, I don't know, about 6'5". The way he was built, his torso, his legs, he had tremendously long legs, and the yeshiva had some apartments. It was about a 5-minute walk. Because the dormitory wasn't sufficient to accommodate all students. Shabbos, he would run, he would run like a Olympic runner from the apartments. When he ran down the street, you knew somebody was coming. You always ask, what is he running to or is he running from? You never knew where he was going, this person. The reason why I'm telling these stories is because Gary said that I want to make it, much more attractive. They should come again. Okay. Okay. Amit. Okay. Chelki azrizu shnayim. He says, alacrity. He says consists of 2 elements. Echad kodem ascholas hamasa. The first is before one addresses the action, before one does the mitzvah. Echad achrechein. The other is after. Kodem ascholas hamasu shelo yachmitz odem mitzvah. Before, how does one demonstrate alacrity, zeal? that you shouldn't delay the mitzvah. The moment it presents itself, address it immediately. Not a moment of procrastination. When the time comes, when it presents itself, even when you think about it. You should hurry to do the action, take hold of it, and complete it. You shouldn't allow any time to lapse until you do it. Why? It's the greatest danger. Uses the term sakona. Sakona is danger. Because there's no greater danger. I'll give you an example. A person has an inspiration. Sitting at home, inspiration to open the safe and sit and learn. It happens once in a while. Right? And you're about to open the safe, or all of a sudden you get a phone call. And you take the phone call. 15 seconds. The moment you're off the phone, you no longer have that inspiration. But if you would have started to learn, and you'd begun, even though you were interrupted slightly, you're ready, you're on the path. You're in the groove already. But before you start, it's not simple. You delay, it's not only forgetting, there's a certain emotional attachment or feeling, mental, emotional. If that's interrupted, it doesn't happen very often. Every moment which passes, some interference could present itself for the good deed. I always quote Yisod Rosh Avoda. He writes a sefer on Kavanah of Tefillah. It's all based on the Zohar. He writes that before he would do a mitzvah, let's say he'd finish eating, he would say a Tefillah that he should not have any interruption. That he would be mispal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give him a shmirah, that he should not have interruption, that he should do the mitzvah in its most complete way. That was his tefillah. Because he was worried. You know, it's kol hagodol michaver yitzur godol mimenu. I mean, who does the son try to ensnare? The person that does it specially. The person who's looking at his phone while he's saying the benching, you understand? And it's not he's reading the benching off the phone. He's looking at something else. He's checking his emails. Something doesn't have to distract this person. He's self-distracted. It's the one who tries to be mechami, right? He's the one who tries to distract.
Rabbi, now that take Friday night Shabbos when it's late, so the time of Kriyat Shema comes and the time of Sfiras Omer comes while you're in the middle of the meal and you've got guests involved. So, what is the right practice? And you're aware.
It's a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah in Shabbos. That as long as you began beheter, that's not considered delaying the mitzvah.
So you don't have to say, excuse me.
You don't. But you have to have somebody to remind you that when you finish the meal that you're supposed to say the Shema and you have to say the Sfira. See, he says you shouldn't allow the mitzvah to become chometz. Meaning, he says when it presents itself, when you have an obligation, don't delay, although you can do it later. I mean, there's really the Gemara, it says that when this man Kriyat Shema comes, you have to address it immediately. Why? Because the person comes home from after a day's work, he says, Ochel kimo, eshte kimo. Person says, I'll eat a little bit, I'll drink a little bit, I'll lie down a little bit, and before you turn around, it's the next morning. So since it's common, the person, if he allows himself that, he may sleep through the night, therefore it says, Kol over Adev v'chacham michayv misa. It's more Shabbos. If you violate the words of the Chachamim, you're liable for misa, for death.
But there's nothing wrong with excusing.
No, definitely not. It's even it's admirable.
Even though you might interrupt the meal.
So you delay it. Let me ask you a question. You're in the middle of your meal, somebody knocks on your door. Who is it? Trump. You interrupt your meal, you say, Trump, wait till the lecture, we'll talk about you. You're not there yet. What do? Right? You offer him a bottle of scotch. What do you order over him? Okay? Maybe he'll behave himself. Okay? So you're interrupting your meal. So for him, you can interrupt. For Kriyat Shema, you're not going to interrupt the meal.
Doesn't Trump present you?
I don't know. That Nachi should be saying that. Okay.
Trump steak.
You wouldn't let him in. Come on.
What?
Please.
Well, he's got observant.
That's what David talks about.
The opposite.
You don't have an obligation.
He do it.
You have no obligation because since you started the meal beheter, you're permitted to finish the meal. without saying the Kriya Shema. But as long as you have somebody reminding you that you shouldn't forget.
The truth is, myself, I know, I always say Shema over after Friday.
Okay?
A lot of times.
But even when you say the Shema in time.
Even if it doesn't work yet.
In the winter, you also say, what are you saying, Shema? Unless that Shema goes for already Kriya Shema Lamita. You could have in mind that should go for before you go to sleep.
For many times of the year, though.
Good thing, if you want to get into a good habit.
Gesund to 8. Not a problem. Got a few good stories. Okay.